Pride of Higara. This is Captain Soban of the fleet, Farron Shah. Looks like you could use a hand. Attention all Sobani, pick your targets and engage.
Hello everyone. Hello. This is Captain Soban. Welcome aboard to Starship and Normal Prize for probably one of our final episodes. Well, the final episode of this series of Homeworld Hardcore Ship Showcase series. Today we're going to be taking a look at all the non-combat ships and how I've adjusted them from my mod compared to vanilla. And then we're going to take a look at the economy, how I've adjusted that from vanilla. And we're going to also be taking a look at the research stuff and kind of just comparing things, because I've adjusted all the research speeds for everything to make the game a little bit more hardcore. And then after that, we are going to take a look at the fuel system. So yeah, this one will probably be the shortest one out of the entire series because, well, there isn't a whole lot that I've adjusted from the utility ships other than adjust their health values and whatnot to match where they're supposed to be for my mod. So yeah, let's go ahead and go into it. So the first one we're going to start off with is the Kushan side, just like normal. And then we're going to go through the harvester. Then after that, we'll take a look at the Titan stuff once we get done with all that. So let me go ahead and pull that stuff up down here. We need a resource collector. There we are. So there's my version. And then the vanilla's version will be over here on the right side. R1. And where is resource collector? There you are. Okay, so let's take a look at these. So first thing you guys will probably notice is I increased the mass of the harvesters. Again, it's a giant ship that carries a bunch of cargo, so I felt like it was a little bit too light compared to... Actually, no, we did the opposite. Yeah, I forgot this is vanilla on the right side and this is mine on the left side. Yeah. So never mind, we made it lighter. I was kind of dumb about that. But again, it's a giant cargo ship that holds a bunch of resources. So reducing the amount of weight to the harvesters kind of makes a good amount of sense to me. We also made the harvesters much faster. They move 400 meters per second compared to 325. Again, it's a cargo ship with an engine on the back, with a frigate class fusion power plant running the thing. So yeah, I think it should be a decent amount of speed. So yeah, it's a lot faster than vanilla's version. It also costs 1,000 RUs to build compared to 650. This is the cheapest frigate class ship that you can build in my mod. And again, it's like I said, it's a cargo with an engine, a cargo container with an engine and a PDS system. So simple to build. It takes 85 seconds to make compared to 60. Again, this is a frigate class ship, so I set it to the frigate class speeds, which is 8.5% of the total build cost. So yeah, it takes a little bit longer to build than vanilla, but it's still pretty fast for this type of ship. Capacity I kept the same at 650. Harvest rate is, again, we'll talk a little bit more about the harvest rates when we actually get there, but as you can see here, they're different values, and I'll go more in details of that once we're done talking about all the utility stuff. The ship has 45,000 health compared to 10,800. This is a little bit low for a frigate class ship compared to the other military ships. Has a little bit more health than the Kushan, or not the Kushan, the Kadesh multi-beam frigate. But like I said, it's a cargo ship with an engine, so it shouldn't have as much health as like an Ion Gian frigate or like assault frigate. So yeah, it does 2,250 damage when it explodes. And I think that's about it when it comes to adjustments of the resource collectors that I did. And also, just a reminder, in my mod, any ship in the game no longer has a auto repair system. I've disabled that. By disable, I mean I just set the value to 0, so it doesn't actually heal anything when the repair time triggers. So yeah, just keep that in mind whenever you play my mod. So if your harvesters get some damage, they're going to have to make their way to the mothership or carrier, or have some sort of support system or support frigate repair corvette to keep it alive. Alright, and then the next one we're going to take a look at is the resource controller. I have made some minor adjustments to this, which we will talk about momentarily. So yeah, so for the resource controller, I made it a little bit heavier. I feel like it should be like heavier than it was originally, just because of all the supplies and logistics that's going to be integrated into this unit to do what it needs to do. So it's 750 tons compared to 600 tons. It's also a little bit slower, 275 tons compared to 300 for the same exact reason. It's a heavy ship with a lot of stuff going on. It's got repair systems, it's got docking systems, it's got remote control systems. So a lot of diffusion reactors can be used to run all that, and not a whole lot's going to be dedicated to running the engines. So I made it a little bit slower for that reason. It's 1,750 RUs compared to 680. I made it much more expensive than the Harvester. Again, because of all the systems that are integrated into it, and to I always felt like it was a little bit on the cheap side, honestly, when I played all the time. It takes 148.8 seconds to construct compared to 65, so much longer build time. And it has 78,000 health compared to 13,600, so it has a lot more health than the Harvester. And again, to me, it's a very defensive ship, so I believe it should have a lot of armor for survivability. That also is the reason why I made it more expensive too, because it has more survivability. Other than that, it does 3,900 damage when it explodes compared to 125. And other than that, everything else I didn't really adjust. I did adjust a pump fuel rate, but again, we will go through this once I actually start talking about all the fuel stuff. Other than that, that's about it when it comes to the resource controller. Just gave it more armor, made it go slower, and yeah, it made it heavier. That's about it. So now, next we will talk about the probe, because I have made some very minor adjustments to the probe. So first off, it is extremely light compared to the vanilla counterpart. Vanilla was 25 tons, where this one is 2 tons. And the reason why I made it so light is because, well, it's it's a sensor with a chassis and a one-time use engine. I would expect it to be very, very light. It costs 25 RUs to build and 2 seconds to construct compared to 30 RUs and 6 seconds in vanilla. I actually made it cheaper than vanilla because, again, it's very, very, very simple to build, so it wouldn't take a whole lot of resources to actually construct it. It has 200 health compared to 800. The probe has the least amount of health in the entire game. The vanilla version, for some reason, had as much health as like almost a light corvette, which is really, really weird compared to like what it's, you know, actually supposed to be. Just, you know, a very thin chassis with an engine and a surveillance system. So yeah, I mean, extremely easy to kill. Other than that, and the other thing I did adjust was this all the way down here at the bottom, max dispatch, max velocity. This is the speed that the probe actually uses when you tell it to move. It doesn't use the max velocity up here that all the other ships use. So I set that to 2,000, which makes it go 2,000 meters per second compared to 4,000, because I did think the original probe was a little bit too fast. So it'll take a while for the probe to get to its destination if you're sending it like 300 kilometers away from the mothership, so just keep that in mind. other than that, that's all I did for the probe. Made it extremely cheap, slowed it down a little bit, and made it extremely light. Next is the proximity sensor, or the star U of the Homeworld universe. Proximity sensor. There you are. So again, I made some very minor adjustments. I made the proximity sensor super light. It's the same weight as a probe, 2 tons. I also made it slightly cheaper to construct. It's 45 seconds compared to 50. Takes 3.6 seconds to build compared to 6. And has 250 health compared to 800. So yeah, I did this for the same exact reason as I did the probes. It's a very thin chassis with a very simple engine and a sensor detecting system, so it should be very, very light. It's I think 100 health less than a scout, so it's not like super light, but it's one of the lightest one. Lowest healths in the game for my mod. It does do 12 damage when it explodes, compared to 75. This thing actually used to do more damage when it explodes than the amount of health it has. Nope, never mind. It has 800 health instead of 50. But yeah, very weak explosion. Don't have to worry about any of your ships being hurt by this. And I didn't adjust the proximity sensor like search things or anything, because it kind of works really well. And I didn't want to mess with anything like that, so I only messed with the health, the build speed, and the construction costs, and how heavy the probe actually is. All right, and then the next one is sensors array, which I didn't really adjust the sensor array a whole lot. Again, I kind of, that's a cloak generator. I kind of just adjusted the values of like weight and stuff like that to kind of match it up and make it different compared to the other ones. But sensors array. Boop, boop, boop. So my sensors array are 125 tons compared to 300, which makes a lot of sense because it's just how the sensors array is. It's just a very like thin piece of metal that is protecting a sensor system. So I imagine it to be very, very light. It moves at 280 meters per second, which was not adjusted from vanilla. It is very expensive to construct. It costs 1,850 RUs, and I believe it is the most expensive frigate class ship in the game. Yes, it is, next to the resource controller at 1,750. So expensive to invest, but the reason why is it allows you to see the entire field of battle, so you can see everything that's going on. It takes 148 seconds to make compared to 80. It has 20,000 health compared to 4,500. This is actually very, very low for a frigate class ship in my mod, so keep that in mind. But also the reason why it's so low is just, again, because of the because of what it's made out of. It has a lot of thin metal protecting a sensor, a lot of like very sensitive sensor related components, so it's not going to have a whole lot of health to actually keep itself alive. And I did find it very interesting that the this doesn't actually work, but the sensors array used to have a fuel thing. I wondered they were going to try and do something like the gravity well generator, make it to where the sensors array had to be turned on and then turn it off after a while. So you only get the sensor thing for as long as this thing is on, and it has to like fill up or recharge over time. Very interesting. Kind of curious why they didn't actually go through with that. Maybe they couldn't actually get it to work the way they wanted to. But other than that, it has a blast radius of 1,000 damage whenever it explodes. That's about it. I didn't adjust anything with the sensor thing, so that should work exactly the way it's supposed to. All right, and then next up on our list is, I believe, gravity well generator. And this again is one of those ones I didn't really adjust because a lot of the utilities in the game work really well, so I didn't really see the point of actually adjusting things. But if we go to a gravity well generator, boop boop boop, and then gravity well. Okay, so in my mod, I made the gravity well generator a little bit lighter. Because again, I thought that 400 tons was a little bit too much. Plus, I was trying to make all the utility ships different. Has a maximum speed of 325, which I did not adjust. Maximum health of 40,000 compared to 8,000. And it costs 1,500 RUs to make compared to 800, so much more expensive. It takes 120 seconds build instead of 60, so double the time. I didn't even realize I made that a comparison, so that's amazing. And it does 2,000 damage when it explodes. That's about it. Those are only adjustments I made because again, the gravity well generator works the way that's supposed to. I never really thought there was anything wrong with it. So, yeah. That's about it for the gravity well generator. And then after that, we have the cloak generator, which is another one that I did not really adjust. Boop, 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 boop. Oops. That is not what I meant to do. There we go. Accidentally activated Photoshop when I was trying to open up a when I was trying to open up a file because I accidentally tried to open up the LOD file instead of the ship file. But anyways, wait a minute. Oh, that's Cloak Fighter. Oh my god, I was like, holy crap, I have a bug. But nah, Cloak Generator. So the Cloak Generator, mass is the same at 400 tons. May reduce that, but yeah, hang on, we might actually reduce that. Let's see what it is compared to the other ones. Because Gravity Well is 325, Research is 300. Yeah, we're gonna reduce that. Reduce that down to like 250. Boop 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 boop. So Cloak Generator is 250 tons. It does move at a speed of 400, so it's pretty quick. I sped it up a little bit because it is kind of a pretty small little ship, so it should be pretty swift. It has 25,000 health compared to 6,000, so it has more than the sensors array, but less than the Gravity Well Generator. It costs 1,000 RUs to make compared to 500. So I actually might adjust that a little bit too. Yeah, we're gonna actually increase that a little bit. We'll increase that to 1,250. Make it a little bit more expensive. 1,250 times 0.9. Oh, that's not what I wanted. 1,250 times 0.09. 112.5 seconds. There we go. Yeah, make it just a little bit more expensive to produce. It shouldn't cost the same amount to build a harvester as it would a cloak generator, just because of the technology that goes into this thing. So I figured it'd be a little bit more expensive than that. But 25,000 health, explodes at 1,250 damage, and other than that, that's pretty much it. Boop, 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 boop. Tell that I did this like a long time ago and haven't really checked back into them. Alright. And for our final non-combat ship, we have the research ship. So let's quickly take a look at that too. And I don't know if we're going to take a look at the Titan side, because I believe the Titan is exactly the same. Let's go ahead and actually quickly take a look, because I think all of the non-combat and ships I kind of kept exactly the same to keep them synced. Didn't want to like mess up the economy or anything. Yeah, so that one's the same. Probe is the same. Proximity sensor is the same. Sensors array is the same. Gravity well generator, same. Yeah, the Titan side is exactly the same. Except for the gravity well or the cloak generator for some reason has more health. 30,000 health compared to 25,000. Interesting. I need to adjust that one real quick. But yeah, let's take a look at the research ship. And I can quickly adjust that. Boop. Boop, 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 boop. Research ship. I think I only made really, really tiny adjustments to this. So I kept the mass the same because I kind of liked how heavy the research ship was. Movement speed's the same. It costs 1,400 resources to make compared to 700, so it doubled. Takes 112 seconds to make compared to 60. It has a maximum health of 37,500 compared to 7,500. It also has a fuel system as well, which isn't actually in the game, but they were trying to implement a fuel system for the research ship. So I wonder if they were making it to where when you researched, it consumed fuel, and then you had to do something to the research ship in order to like get the fuel back up in order to continue your research project. So very interesting. Not entirely sure what's going on, but that's kind of my theory behind it. And it does 1,875 explosion damage, and other than that, everything is exactly the same. Yeah, let me go ahead and go into the other cloak generator. I'll make the adjustments real quick, and then we will start talking about the economy. Okay, so I have the Kushan harvester here right now, and I am going to go ahead and talk about a little bit of how I adjusted the economy. I have actually slowed it down. The reason why I decided to do this is to make it to where if you really need to get your economy boosted, you're going to need a lot of harvesters. Not only does this, to me, makes the game look a lot cooler, because having 6, 7, or 8 harvesters going around and harvesting these little asteroids and just watching them spin circles is really, really satisfying to me. It actually looks like you have a mining operation going, which is something that I never really did in Homeworld 1, because your harvesters just harvested the asteroids so quickly that you never really got to enjoy that. So let me bring up the collector. So this is the vanilla collector. We go down to right here where it says harvest rate and harvest amount. The harvest rate is how fast the harvester actually devours a piece of the asteroid. So this is set to 3, which means every 3 game frames, and there are 60 game frames per second, the harvester will actually harvest a piece of the asteroid. And so this down here is the amount that it harvests every time it harvests a piece of the asteroid. So it's set to 5. So that means every 3 game frames, the harvester will collect 5 RUs, which means in a 1 game frame or 1 game second, you'll actually harvest about 100 RUs. I believe that's how that works. I think, let's see, every game frame, yeah, it must be 137. There might be 30 game frames per second. But anyways, what mine is set to is I have it set to be 15 frames, so that means 1 every 5 that this one is set to. So I believe this should be once a quarter of a second. We will harvest 3 RUs. So before we used to harvest 100 RUs a second. Now we harvest 12. much much slower. So if I tell this guy to harvest, we'll go see what I mean. And I did set the capacity to be 650. But as you can see, it takes a lot longer to fill up the cargo bay. 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, I don't know exactly how many game frames per second are in Homeworld. 2, 3. It might be 30. I think it might be set to 30. That would make a lot more sense, because that would mean that we would harvest 50 per second instead of 10, which means that in 12 or 10, 11, like 12 seconds, we would be full. That still can't be right. Yeah, I wish I knew how fast a game frame was. But as you can see, it takes a long time to fill up your cargo bay. So you need a lot more harvesters to get a good economy going. Before, it used to be 2 to 4 would have been plenty, and now it's closer to 6 to 8. So it takes about twice as many harvesters to get the economy going in my mod as it does the other one, which means more investment for the mining operations, which also means you have to defend them more because you have more harvesters you need to defend. To me, it feels a lot better. Like, I like the pace of how long it takes for everything to get going. But yeah, I think it's 3 every quarter of a game second. I think is what I have it set to. It might be 3 every half second, so like 6 every second. So if you keep that in mind, let me grab my calculator real quick. So if we are 6 a second, that would mean that before we were, I believe that would be 50 a second. So yeah, we went from 50 a second to 6 a second. So much, much slower. But yeah, that's how the economy works. Let's get this out of here because it's causing the game to be weird. But now you spend a lot more time harvesting instead of like quickly harvesting an asteroid, going to the next one, quickly harvesting the asteroid, going to the next one, quickly harvesting. It takes a lot longer to get them harvested. And also that means if you harvest a big asteroid, there's a higher chance of you having 2 or 3 harvesters going on that asteroid at once, which looks really, really cool. I'm gonna go over here so the game stops acting all weird. But yeah, next we will take a look at the I think next on the list would be Research. Research has also been changed, and I think I accidentally got rid of the... Yeah, I got rid of the one that I needed. Burp, burp, burp. Get rid of the one that had all the vanilla stuff. Okay, so here is the stuff for research dependencies in the game. We're not going to pay attention to most of this stuff. We're just going to go down to multiplayer, because multiplayer is the only one that really changed. I didn't see the point of changing single player because you can get at the end of the mission and just research everything then. So multiplayer, and this is the same for both factions when they keep them synced. So let's go to here. So in vanilla, we have kind of made the amount of time it takes to research a little bit longer. Actually, it's still very similar to vanilla values. Indeed. We have like slowly tweak these in to where we want them to be. I mean, just make sure. Okay, yeah, that's the modded one. So 540 seconds for the first research for fighters, which used to be 450, and then 2,400 for like a cloak defense, 2,000 for that one, and then 1740. So yeah, the values aren't like super high compared to actual vanilla, but they do take a little bit longer. Right now we can probably do a quick calculation. Let's see, 540 divided by 450. About 20, I would say anywhere between 20 to 30% longer. Which makes, to me, it makes the game feel, makes the game take a little bit longer, so because you have the research actually takes longer. To me, I actually like this a lot. I kind of wish it was closer to 40 to 50% longer. Because to me, it makes it to where your research that you're trying to do actually makes a difference, because of the fact that it takes a while to get the research done. It means that if you research, like, let's say, light corvettes as a response to fight enemy fighters, that you have to be dedicated to that research and use that ship. But if you can't just research like light corvettes and then assault frigates and then interceptors and get all that done within like a couple minutes, and now you have all these options to fight your enemy. Now it's like, okay, there's an enemy out there, they're using corvettes. What is my answer? I don't have corvette technology yet. I can go interceptors and spam them, or I can start getting assault frigates. Like, you actually have to sit there and think about which one you want to research and how you want that research to implement or impact the gameplay of fighting your enemy, instead of just getting everything researched within like 20 minutes in the game, and now you have all these options. So yeah, that was the reason why I decided to make research a little bit longer. Just so the decisions you make on researching, because there's no penalty for researching, doesn't cost any RUs or anything like that, but just your decisions on whatever you research will hopefully impact your decisions on what you should make to help protect your fleet and to build a fleet to fight off your enemies. Pretty simple. Okay, and the last thing we're gonna it was weird. The VM turned off exactly at the same time I started talking. The last thing we're going to be talking about is fuel. Okay, so if you guys can see here, there are two fuel values when it comes to the game. We have the fuel burn rate. This is used when you're just moving your ship around. And then we have attack fuel burn rate, which is used whenever you're engaged in combat. Now, one of the things that took me a while to actually figure out is the attack fuel burn rate. I thought it was a constant value that's always draining your fuel, but no, it works exactly the same as fuel burn rate, just used when in combat. So this is how much fuel that our ship burns every meter it moves in space, and this is how much it burns when it's not using its weapons moving around in space. So we can actually calculate this out real quick. So we have a total capacity of 5,000, and we burn 0.00887 fuel per meter of travel. So if we, so what we have to do is just do, I believe this is how it works. Okay, I messed around with one of the corvettes because I'm still kind of getting the fighters to work the way I want them to. So for the corvettes, they have a much higher capacity. They have 15,000 compared to the okay, so basically I haven't quite figured out how to do all of the math. It seems like a very simple equation, but I still just haven't figured out how to get it like 100% perfect. But basically the way this works is this is your total fuel capacity. This is how much you burn per meter of travel when not in combat. This is how much you burn in meter of travel while in combat. And the way I'm going to be adjusting it, I still need to adjust the fighters and whatnot just a little bit to kind of make it a little bit better. But the premises of it is if it's a scout, or it will be able to. I believe I'm going to have all of the fighters have the same amount of fuel burn rate. It's just if it's a scout or If it's a scout, it'll have like a 25% higher fuel burn rate when in combat. If it's an interceptor, it might have 35%. I'm still going to adjust that a little bit because I haven't quite figured out the perfect medium of how I want that to work. Because I want the heavy ships to actually no, because I keep going back and forth. I want the heavy ships to last longer in combat, and the non-heavy ships like scouts to burn more fuel in combat. But at the same time, I also want to make it toward like the heavy ships are more designed for combat or burn more fuel because they have the same power plant as the scouts. I haven't quite exactly figured out how I want that to work. But basically, what I'm trying to do is for the fighters, I want them to have a range of, I want to say 100 kilometers, meaning that they can fly 100 kilometers one direction and 100 kilometers another direction and be out of fuel. Where Corvettes, I want that to be 3 times as high, where they have to, where they can go up to 300 kilometers one direction and 300 kilometers back, and before they're low on fuel. So I might sync everything up to like a very, very simple of formula once I figure out the basics, but basically that's kind of how the whole fuel system works. You have your capacity, you use this one, low fuel burn rate when moving around while not in combat, and then you use this one when you're actually in combat. So yeah, I still have a little bit of work to do before I actually completely get the fuel system down 100% the way I wanted to. But yeah, that's gonna do it though. That's going to be the last episode of the showcase series. We talked a little bit about the non-combat ships. We talked about fuel. We talked about a repair system. Repair system is much different than the original. I can go ahead and bring up one of the repair corvettes, and I'll show you. I believe this is how fast the ship repairs per game frame, which is a 0.06%. I believe that's how that works, because I think this and the fuel pump rate is based off of like every game frame. I don't think it's based off every second. It might be every second. But anyways, I made it to where like when your ships are out of commission, it'll take like 3 or 4 or 5 minutes depending on what the ship is, or depending on what repair system you use. Like if you're docking a support frigate, it'll go faster than the resource controller, which will go faster than the repair corvette. Basically making it to where your strike craft are out of commission for a while whenever they take a lot of damage because they're being repaired. They won't be instantly repaired and ready to go like it is in vanilla. Just another one of the things that I added for like the hardcore thing. But yeah, let's see what the mothership is. What did I set the mothership to? The mothership is the fastest. 0.09. So yeah, about 1% per second, I think is how fast that is. I think this is valued in how fast it repairs per second. So yeah, very slow. Very slow. That means like even in the mothership, it's going to take about 1.5 minutes to get repaired. So yep, keep your ships alive and keep them healthy. Otherwise, they will be out of commission for quite some time. And you have to figure out a way around to stop your enemies when you're a strike crafter just getting repaired. But anyways, that's going to do it for this series, guys. I hope you enjoyed this. And I do plan to do another hardcore playthrough, especially once I get the fighters and corvettes like down the way I want them to be down. And it's going to be a Darth Soban playthrough, which is something I've never done before. So I'm very excited / tempted to do that. But yeah, anyways, if you guys enjoy this, please leave a like. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments, and I'll try to answer as much as I can. But if you like what I do, please leave a like. If you like the video, please leave a like. If you like what I do, consider subscribing. Also, if you guys don't mind, there is a link in the video description that goes to my girlfriend's Instagram. She is a full-time artist and she does a lot of commissions and stuff like that for other people. She is amazing, and if you guys don't mind like hitting the follow button and tell her she's awesome and Captain Soban sent you, I would be deeply appreciative of that. But anyways, other than that, this is Captain Soban signing out.
The Faker have arrived. Emergency hyperspace procedures initiated.